welcome back to the Driven channel. Got a beautiful morning here in Seattle. Sunshine's poking through the clouds, walking through the park, and wanted to shoot a video specifically around some tips and things that could apply to starting your business or you embarking on your next adventure. First thing, before you start anything else, I would say definitely find a business partner who you can mesh with and supports your strengths and your style. You want somebody that is not the same as you, but you guys have the same vision. I think it's really important that you complement each other, but at the same time can kind of push in different areas. Some person's going to be better at one thing, some person's going to be better at the other, because you're going to have challenges that come up on a daily basis of things that you've never really dealt with before, and the ability to sit there and evaluate a list of 4 or 5 things that need to get done and you guys can kind of divide and conquer is going to be critical. So find a good business partner. You definitely don't want to be jumping into anything, and of course there are certain things that's okay, do it solo, but you don't want to be jumping into anything just by yourself. It's nice to have another person to bounce some ideas off of and tackle some tasks together. Number 2, write a business plan. Get yourself a roadmap. I know some people say don't do that, but a business plan is crucial. You're going to identify what your core mission statement is, what's your core business, identify who your customers are, your go-to-market strategy, local competition. I think it's funny, some people will say that, oh, there is nobody that does what we do. It's not the case. There's always somebody that's doing what you're doing. You might think you could do it better, but it's good to identify who that competition is. And then you're going to kind of have something that you can always, it's a living document, so you're always going to be able to reflect back to that, go back and look at, okay, who were our customers, who are we targeting, and what was our approach or what was our strategy for that. It's also especially helpful if you do get to the point where you've got investors or executives that you want to bring onto your staff when your company is at that level. You can go back to that business plan and reflect on some of those things and bring them up to speed pretty quickly. All right, number 3, identify your customer base, your go-to-market strategy, and how you're actually going to sell your product. Sales is key. You can have a good product in theory, but until you start getting people to buy it, or the sooner you can start getting people to buy it, the better. It's not good to be losing money. So this might seem like just a natural process, or you think that, oh, we're creating a great product, people will just buy it. It's definitely not the case, and you're going to find out really quickly that it's the most critical piece of what you need to be working on. So identify who those people are, what markets you're chasing, where your product fits into that market, and how you're going to go get that product to the market. It's been the biggest challenge for us. So we spent about 3 to 4 months kind of building our infrastructure, reaching out to clients, and we understood kind of through that 3-4 month period that you really need to be able to produce a product. So that's one. And then how are you going to go out and chase those customers? Because it's easy to get a meeting with somebody, but you've got to be able to talk through some substance, be able to identify what some general needs are in that market, and then how you're going to fulfill those needs. And once you do, we'll touch on it in a little bit, but executing on that's kind of that next step. All right, 4th one, building your infrastructure. So I think this is one of the biggest areas that kind of caught us, not by surprise, but just understanding the magnitude of this is when you work at another company, you've got a career, you've got a job, it's easy to kind of take some of those things for granted. So the infrastructure being HR, any technology, having an office, your IT, simple things down to where we get an internet from, what's the bandwidth that we need, what's our core business and our requirements to be able to support that stuff. Hiring, firing, we haven't had to go through any firing luckily, but the hiring process is not easy, and it's easy when you have an HR department in a larger company and say, hey, I need 2 more people for my team. 2 weeks later they pop up. That stuff doesn't happen automatically, and being able to understand building out that infrastructure, that took us about 4 months, and it was one of the biggest challenges. It was a really great learning experience because you have to build in a lot of your core business practices, understanding what your growth model looks like. Again, you can go back to your business plan and start planning for some of these things through your infrastructure. We've tried to plan right now. We've got 7 people. We can scale our infrastructure up to about 40 people. We worked at a company previously that had 150 people, 300 people. I've worked at really small companies, so you kind of see what things fit, what things scale, where you're going to run into constraints, and trying to alleviate some of those things in the planning process on the front end are going to be critical to your growth. Because as you're growing from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 people to 50 people, you don't want to be dealing with issues of, oh, we bought this software package and it can't scale to get us to that size, or our office is too small. We're actually running into an issue right now. We figured 12 people could fit into an office. I think we're going to outgrow this thing in 3 months. So kind of strategizing around your real estate as well, and giving yourself the ability and flexibility to grow is going to be critical. So get your infrastructure right. All right, 5th one, be able to execute on your product for your customers. This seems like it's going to be an automatic because you've built your you've got your business plan, you've got your business established, you've gone through a bit of infrastructure and growth, you've got a team of however many people, 5, 6 people, and you've got your suppliers set up. It is absolutely imperative that you be able to execute. We've got 4 or 5 projects, and we've been working our asses off to get that client base to trust us, and we've been awarded a few projects. Now we need to knock them out. And you go through a whole new growth phase when it comes down to actually knocking out your product or delivering your product for your customers. So have a plan in place for when that faucet turns on, because it's going to happen sooner than you think it will. It's interesting for us because we went through a process where we were submitting a lot of proposals, and we do construction management. We were submitting a lot of proposals, and you win some, you might not win some. It's really interesting to be able to look back and understand that if you had won some of those that you didn't win, what that would have put strain on internally. So that might have been tough with how many people you had. If you propose on 5 projects and you win 3 of them, that's a great thing. But being able to deliver on 3 projects, or your product base, all of a sudden the demand is 5x higher than you thought it would be, that might put some strain on your supplier chain, or it's just interesting to be able to execute. That becomes the driver. So have a plan for that, because I think it'll happen, especially if you're good people and you have a good product. It's going to happen sooner than you think it will, and you want to be able to meet the bill. So there's a handful of things business related that I hope will help you guys out. If you got any questions, leave a comment below. There's of course a ton of different things you should be strategizing around, but get down to the nuts and bolts, and wish you guys success.